Hey, world history. This is Miss Corey. Welcome to U4 L10, The Fall of Rome, the Rise of the Byzantine Empire. Your job, you're going to watch this ed puzzle and answer the questions. Questions that are in blue text are going to be questions that I want you to answer directly on the ed puzzle. Anything that's in red text is going to be a vocab word on your study guide, so make sure you're following along with that as well. And of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. I am more than happy to help you out. So, learning goals. Students can describe the key parts of the fall of Rome, describe the relationship between the rise of the Byzantine Empire and Christianity, and explain the ways in which Constantine influenced the spread of Christianity. So, as a little bit of a reminder, here is the map of the Roman Empire at its height. So, this map would show like the late 100s until about 330 CE. So as you can see here, it goes all the way from Spain down into northern Africa. We got Egypt, we got the Middle East, we got Anatolia, we got up here like by Greece and all of these Balkan countries, and we go all the way up here into Europe, all the way into Great Britain. So huge, massive territory. So here's a little bit of a spoiler alert. So the Roman Empire officially ended in about 330 CE. So here is a question for you. Don't Google or use any other outside resources. This is just your opinion and your best educated guess. Why and how do you think the Roman Empire fell? So there are a lot of different reasons why the Roman Empire fell. And it wasn't one of those things like it fell within a day, because it didn't. It wasn't like everyone just woke up one day and was like, I think the Roman Empire's done. Okay, let's move on. No, it was gradually and over time. But the official end of the Roman Empire is 330 CE. And there are multiple reasons for the fall of the Roman Empire. There are 8 according to the History Channel, which also makes your textbook, by the way. So, for the big ones would be splitting of East and West Roman empires. We will talk all about that today. Also, the invasion of outside forces, overexpansion and economic troubles, and the rise in Christianity. So, we are just going to take a look at one of these reasons today. And that one reason is splitting of East and West Roman empires, which is also going to tie into the rise of Christianity. So I will talk about this in a couple more slides, but yes, the Roman Empire actually did get divided into 2. So as you can see on this map here, you can see pretty much just a split down the middle. Over here is the Western Roman Empire. Over here is the Eastern Roman Empire. And we'll talk about that in a couple of slides from now of why that happened. Okay, so let's get some background information. First, let's talk about Emperor Diocletian. So that's this dude right here. So he ruled from 284 to 305 CE. So at 284, the Roman Empire is at its height of expansion. But with that comes a lot of troubles. So some of the troubles that Emperor Diocletian faced included inflation, overexpansion. This really caused a lot of problems in the German territory because local German tribes were fighting back against the Roman army. There's also corruption in politics. So people were bribing their way to power to get like powerful Senate seats. There's also a huge black market. So what a black market is, that is buying and selling goods without tax or government regulations. But Emperor Diocletian, he had a plan. So, to beat inflation, he set up price limits on goods. So, merchants couldn't ask outrageous prices for things that were just common. So, like merchants and sellers couldn't just like name their price on items, they had to follow the guidelines of the government. Also, people weren't allowed to switch professions easily. So, someone couldn't be like a blacksmith one day and the next day they're like, you know what, I'm going to try being a sculptor. Like they couldn't do that. They couldn't switch back and forth. You pretty much had to stay with whatever profession you already had. And there was also a death penalty on anyone in the black market. So if you were involved in the black market at all, you're dead. But what about the size of the empire? So, like we said before, it was too big to control, and its borders were butting up against local groups, especially in modern day Germany and France. So, here is a question for you. And I've already kind of talked about this a few slides ago. But what do you think Diocletian is going to do? That's right, he splits it into east and west. So Diocletian splits the empire in 286 CE. So as you can see from this map, it's pretty much a perfect split down the middle right here. So over here would be the Western Empire, and over here would be the Eastern Empire. So East and West become two separate empires, each of them having their own emperor. So the West was ruled by Emperor Marcus Aurelius Valerius Maximianus, or Maximus for short, and the East was ruled by Emperor Diocletian. So under Diocletian's and Max's rule, both shared the same religion, holidays, government structures, Roman pride, all those kind of basic cultural traditional things. Also under them, they both tolerated the Christians. So it was still not a welcome religion in the Roman Empire, but they weren't persecuted as much. All right, so things were about to change. So Diocletian retired in 305 CE, which sounds like today people retire all the time. But back in the Roman Empire, if you were a emperor and you retired, that was a huge accomplishment because most of the time, as we learned last unit, emperors typically got assassinated. Also, there was a brief political battle for the Eastern Empire's throne after Diocletian retired. The winner came out to be this dude called Constantine. So this is a statue of Constantine right here. So from here on, the Eastern Roman Empire would then be called the Byzantine Empire. So the borders haven't changed with the Eastern Roman Empire. It just changed its name to the Byzantine Empire. But they still thought of themselves as Roman, although their name changed to the Byzantine Empire. So today, the Catholic Church recognized Emperor Constantine as a saint. Wait a minute, I thought Roman Empire hated the Christians. So here's a question for you. Just take your very best guess. How do you think Constantine became a saint? All right, so I will explain that answer in the next few slides. So Emperor Constantine was originally not Christian, but Constantine did have this one major goal. And that was to reunite the Roman Empire under one emperor. So his predecessor, Diocletian, he's the guy who split it in two. And Constantine was like, nah, let's put it back together. So Constantine and the Byzantine army were battling the Western Roman army for control of the city of Rome and the entirety of the empire back in 312 CE. This is a very famous battle. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about it, but it's called the Battle of Milvian. And before the battle, Constantine, who's supposed to be like depicted right here, saw the cross, which is a Christian symbol, in the sun. And he promised to respect Christians if God helped him win this battle. So here's a question. What do you think happened in the battle? Here's another artist rendition. So I know it's a little blurry, but as you can see here, this is supposed to be like Constantine and his army, and they all look up to the sky. And there's like the Christian symbol with angels around it. They're all looking at it in awe. There's also a dragon. I don't know why. So Constantine and the Byzantine army won the battle, and they gained control of Rome and the entirety of the Roman Empire. So Constantine kept good on his word, and he made a law called the Edict of Milan, and this ended persecution of Christians. It also allowed the freedom of Christians to worship, because we talked about earlier in this unit that Christians usually had to worship underground in kind of makeshift churches. Now Christians had the freedom to worship like outside of hiding. He also gave financial support to Christian church throughout his reign. So there's this big debate with historians of why did Constantine allow this? Did he really want to support Christianity due to being like for the sake of supporting Christians, or were there other aspects that he wanted? So, some historians debate that, yeah, he actually believed in Christianity and that's why he made it legal. Others argue that he was just jumping on board with this popular religion to also seem popular himself. Or he wanted to unite the Western and Eastern Byzantine empires under one religion, and that would have been Christianity. So you're like, wow, he did all this stuff like for Christianity? He must have been an awesome Christian, right? No, he actually wasn't. He wasn't Christian at all. And he wasn't even baptized, meaning he wasn't converted to Christianity, until he was on his deathbed in 337 CE. Why didn't Constantine convert earlier or convert at all? Well, historians still debate that to this day. So, Constantine moved his capital of the Roman Empire away from the city of Rome and started a new city called Constantinople. As you can see, Constantinople, Constantine, right? Like he kind of named it after himself. So today, that city is still alive and thriving. It is called Istanbul, Turkey. So here's a map. As you can see here, here's Rome. So that was the old capital of the empire. And then Constantinople, which is right here, is the new capital of the Roman Empire. So here's another question for you. Again, just take your best guess. What would be the advantage of having Constantinople be the Roman or Byzantine capital? So take a look around at the landscape and where it is located. Yeah, there's a lot of different answers for this one. Some of the big ones would be like it borders the Black Sea, Aegean Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. And it also is centered towards more the middle of the Roman Empire, so it's closer to Asia. So Constantinople becomes a flourishing city for trade, politics, and Christianity. There are buildings and aqueducts and art based off of the Roman Empire. Constantine builds basilicas, which are super large churches. He also builds amphitheaters and palaces throughout the city as well. So, Constantine did a lot for the early Christian church. So, I know when we talked about that really cheesy video that I showed you a few weeks ago about like what is Christianity, we talked a little bit about the hierarchy of the Christian church. So here is kind of like a little triangle pyramid showing the hierarchy. So at the bottom would be like the people. So like that's the church's members. And then the priests are also kind of towards the bottom down here. They're really the main people who talk to like the members of the church. And then it goes up all the way to the Pope being at the very, very top. So Constantine allows Christian priests and disciples to travel Roman roads to convert others. They don't have to do it in secrecy anymore. Also, Constantine proclaimed Sunday as a day of rest. And he also excused clergy, so the Christian leaders, these would be considered clergy, from civic duty, meaning that they would not be drafted into war. Constantine also tolerated other religions, it wasn't just Christianity. And all but one Roman and Byzantine emperor after him were Christian. He also did this thing called the First Council of Nicaea. So what that was, it was in 325 CE, and Constantine invited and hosted all these Christian bishops to come to his capital. And he made all those bishops decide on what exactly Christians believed. Because the big problem was in the early Christian church, there are many different interpretations about like the teachings of the church and what the church should look like and who was who, and what should be worshipped, what shouldn't be worshipped. It was a whole mess. So that's where Constantine was like, hey, bishops, come to me. We're going to figure this out all together. And they did that. And the result of it was something called the Nicene Creed, which you can see up here in the corner. And the Nicene Creed was really kind of like a guideline to early Christianity of what everyone should believe. And in this creed here, it talks about that there's a Holy Trinity, so the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Also, Mary's role in Christianity, of her being Jesus's mom, and a whole lot more. So here is an artist's take on what the Council of Nicaea looked like. So here's supposed to be Constantine right here. You can see a bunch of bishops around him. They're making decisions. All right, so let's take a step back for a second, and let's look at the Byzantine Empire as a whole. So the Byzantine Empire lasted from 330 to 1453 CE. That is an incredibly long time. So let's put it a little bit into perspective here. So I know earlier in Unit 4, we talked about the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. So from the Roman Republic, so the very, very beginning, all the way to the end of the empire, was from 507 BCE to 330 CE. So that meant that the Roman Republic to the empire lasted 841 years, which is a long time. But the Byzantine Empire lasted from 330 to 1453 CE. That's 1,123 years. That's incredible. That's a really long time for an empire. Another really important thing to remember is that the people of the Byzantine Empire always thought of themselves as a continuation of the Roman Empire. And they never thought of themselves as like, oh, the Roman Empire is dead. We're in the Byzantine Empire now. No, they always thought of themselves as part of the Roman Empire all the way until the 1400s. So here's just some other stuff I want you to know about the history of Christianity. This will be kind of sort of helpful as we move on in our units, especially with next semester, because we'll talk about kind of like the Middle Ages, and Christianity plays a huge role in that. So there was something called the Great Schism, and that happened in 1054. And that is where the Christian church actually split off into two categories. And those two categories were Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox. So with the Roman Catholic, there was another big split within that. And that's with the Protestant Reformation. We'll talk about Martin Luther next semester. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's next semester. And that happened in the 1500s, so about 500 years later. And from the Protestant Reformation, split off the church even more into all these little subcategories that you see here. And then on the other side with Eastern Orthodox, they split into two. You have the Greek Orthodox and also the Russian Orthodox. There is also a branch of Christianity called the Coptics. Those are Christians who are from Egypt and Ethiopia. I just simply don't have enough time to talk about them, so sorry. Then here's also kind of a map. This is a little old. This is from 2012, so it's already 12 years old. But it kind of gives an overall view of the majority religion by country. So you can see in North and South America, Christianity is like the majority. If you look at Africa, kind of the southern half of Africa is Christian. Northern half is the Muslim population. We will talk about them, I don't think next unit, the unit after that. Then you see Europe, mostly Christian. Asia is a mix, especially between Hindus and Buddhists. We will talk about that, I believe, next unit. I should know because I design all these units. But anyway, and then here's kind of another map of the U.S. about like a religious census from the 2020 census, which is also interesting to look at, but I won't dive too deep into that. So next up, you're going to finish up the U4 L1 study guide. You are also going to complete the Unit 4 summative, which we are going to take a look at right now so we can go through the directions together. Isn't that fun and exciting? All right, so here's the Unit 4 summative. It's called a role play, a written letter to a pen pal. So directions. Step 1. You're to choose one character role and pretend to be that character while writing a letter to a pen pal. The roles you can choose from are below. Make sure you highlight which role you have chosen in yellow. So there's the middle class Roman child or teen, the upper class Roman child or teen, a nurse or pedagogue who is helping to raise a middle or upper class child, lower middle or upper class woman in Rome, Vestal virgins, relative to any of the Roman emperors we learned about, a member of the early Christian church, a gladiator, or if you have any other ideas, that is a-okay, but make sure you get them okayed with your teacher, aka me, first. Step 2. As your character, you are to write a letter to a pen pal who doesn't know much about your life in the city of Rome. You're going to write to them about your daily routine as a Roman, or a special event that occurred to you recently in the city of Rome. In this letter, you must include at least 4 vocab words or themes from the Unit 4 lessons, and I have a huge list of them, by the way. Below is a list of words and themes. I have also included the link for the rubric for the assignment here. Your letter is to be a minimum of 300 words, not including these instructions, of course. If you don't know how to find out your word count that does not include these instructions, you can watch this video. I will show you how to. You can also click this link to figure out how many words you have. And any work that is plagiarized or used AI will be an automatic 0 for the entire assignment. So don't do that because that's sad. Here's also really, really important thing. So if you're zoning out, zone back in for a second. It is important to write your letter entirely on this document. If you write it on another document, then copy and paste it to this document, Schoology will flag it as AI or plagiarism, and that is a problem. So make sure you write your entirety of your letter on this document here. Here are your list of vocabulary words and themes. When you are writing your letter, make sure you underline those vocab words. So I'll just ramble these off real quick. So we have Roman state, Roman Republic, Palatine Hill, Julius Caesar, Romulus and Remus, Roman Emperor, Roman Senate, Senator, Imperial Cult, Emperor Nero, Emperor Caligula, Emperor Vespasian, Emperor Valerian, Christianity, Disciples, Bible, Judaism, Abrahamic religion, Catacombs, Chapel, Jerusalem, St. Paul. No, I'm not talking about the city. I'm talking about like St. Paul. Go watch the Christian video if you forgot who he was. Martyr/martyrdom, Perpetua and Felicitas, Temple of Vesta, Vestal Virgins, Gladiator, Colosseum, Bola, Nurse, and Pedagogue. Big thing right here. In years past, people don't pay attention to what a nurse is in the Roman Empire. It is not what a nurse is today. So there's my warning for you now. Paterfamilias, Roman baths, Forum Augustus, Constantine, Diocletian, Constantinople, Edict of Milan, Byzantine Empire, praenomen, nomen, and cognomen, and aqueducts. All right, then begin writing your letter down here. Let me know if you have any questions at all. I'm more than happy to help out. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.